Hello, everyone, or konnichiwa, as they say in Japan. What is autism? Let's discuss this. Did you know that 1 in 36 children in the US is diagnosed with autism? What about autistic adults who remain undiagnosed? For me, autism means that my brain is different, that it developed a different way. There's a lot more to it than what meets the eye, and I've been on a long journey to discovering the extent of this. In this podcast, we're breaking down what autism really is, how it can affect someone's identity, and why the spectrum doesn't mean what most people think. So what is autism? An article on Neuroclastic defines autism as a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how a person experiences the world, processes information, and interacts with others. I'll post the article in the description. For people's information, Neuroclastic features articles written by autistic people. Please check it out. Myself and others who have been on the podcast have discussed many traits of autism in previous podcasts. I reckon ones that lead to diagnosis include difficulties processing sensory environments, different social rules and cues. For example, I've heard many stories in my time as an autism speaker of about 13 years. About kids who open up to others on their own terms, can come across as quite quiet and shy. I myself did not speak until I was 4 years of age. I've also heard of kids who struggle to go into loud schools or shopping malls because it is too demanding sensory-wise. I also include supermarkets as well. Supermarkets can be sensory nightmares. Autism also doesn't always look like the way that it's portrayed in Hollywood, in films like Rain Man or TV shows like The Big Bang Theory. Neuroclastic's article, it's a spectrum, is another helpful article for learning about autism. Again, we'll include the link in the description should you want to should anybody want to check it out. The spectrum doesn't mean a scale from not autistic to very autistic, according to this article. It's about different strengths and challenges in different areas. Visualize it like a color wheel or a sound equalizer, where different traits vary by individual. And I think this is very helpful because for me, every autistic person is different. We all have different traits shaped by our own unique life experiences and our backgrounds. Like people, autism is unique to the person who experiences it. I find that the labels of high functioning and low functioning to be misleading. Here are a few examples of this. Someone who's verbal may struggle with executive functioning, a set of skills for getting things done, while a non-speaking autistic person may be highly independent in other ways. And examples of this include, for the former, of someone you might say is high functioning, they may miss appointments. Take me, for example. I've been labeled as high functioning before. If I don't have a reminder in my Google Calendar, I can miss appointments very, very easily. I've missed more than a few important appointments in that time. For example, I am on Great Western Railway's disability panel. For example, I missed a dentist's appointment simply because I was not notified. I forgot to put it in my Google Calendar because my mind was somewhere else. Another example, especially for those who might be considered nonverbal or low functioning, someone nonverbal can communicate in other ways. An article on Psych Central says the term nonverbal means without words or speech. So it's not entirely accurate to describe some autistic people who don't speak. That's because many of those people understand words and can write or type to communicate. So they do have words. They just don't speak them. When I think of autism and identity, I like to draw from Neuroclastic's Identity Theory of Autism articles. For autistic individuals, identity isn't just about personality, it's core to how we exist in the world. Again, going back to process, going back to autism being a way in which we interact and engage with the world. Autistic values shape experiences. For example, deep passions. In one previous podcast, I mentioned the FIFA World, my interest in the FIFA World Cup. I'm also fascinated by history. Last year, I went to Japan because its history and culture fascinate me. For example, I find the Tokugawa Ieyasu, former leader of Japan, I find him very, very interesting. I encourage you to go look him up. Quite an interesting history indeed. Another value that I believe in is unfiltered honesty. I find lying is very, very difficult for me. I just find it pointless. If somebody asks me a direct question, like how are you? I tend to answer very literally, I'm fine, I'm good. I just don't really see the point in beating around the bush. Another aspect of this autistic values can be the autistic person versus person with autism debate. I believe, and I describe myself as an autistic person, but I've come across a few articles where the debate is very, very lively around person with autism and autistic person. Again, include one of those in the video description. I'd also really, really like to hear other views, so please post those in the comments section. For me, I believe autistic person to be the politically correct term, but I'm always learning on this matter. To summarize this podcast, autism is a neurological difference. It's not a disorder. The spectrum is not a straight line. It's multi-dimensional. It's multifaceted. Autistic identity shapes experiences in unique ways. If this episode changed the way that you see autism, I encourage you to share it with someone else who can learn from it. Check out the links in the episode description for more insights, and together Let's make a positive neurodifference.